Anil, where's the remote? So like this?
Yeah. Only two people. Saya tuh mungkin lagi ke ini.
front. All right, thank you. So we will be starting first. XDC will do a bit of introduction, and then moving onwards will be plugin and Murphy. So from XDC network, I'll call on Satish.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I would like to start the event to have a quick introduction about XDC network, followed by some of the deepin based dApps built on the network. So XDC network on a high level, it's a layer 1 EVM compatible enterprise grade blockchain network. So we are live since 5 years. So we launched in 2019 and it's been 5 years. We completed had like a 5 years completion in 2024 this year. So and in XDC network, the unique characteristics is like we have a 2000 transactions per second and we have a very less gas fee compared to any other networks. And we are following a consensus mechanism which is called dedicated proof of stake consensus mechanism. So we are following the same consensus mechanism right from the start from 2019. Yeah, there are a lot of blockchains using dedicated proof of stake consensus mechanism recently, but with respect to XDC, we are in the same consensus mechanism from the beginning. And the way this consensus mechanism makes blockchain more secure is basically like we have the validated nodes, so which are all of them are KYC verified. So this blockchain is not a public permissionless blockchain, unlike Ethereum, but this is a public permission blockchain. So where anyone are free to deploy any of the dApps on the network, but if they if they want to join as a validator on the network, they have to be KYC verified. So the purpose we do this is basically like we are focusing on enterprise customers as well. So they are more concerned about the security, right? So that's the reason we want to have this KYC mechanism. So this is the architecture about XDC network. So as I was mentioning, like we have 108 master nodes and 2000 transactions per second. And each master nodes takes 10 million XDC tokens to be a part of the network. And they are getting like 8 to 10% of return in the past 5 years. So that's the return on APR we are providing. And XDC has a solution called subnets. So subnets is basically an enterprise-focused private blockchain network. Uh, we are unique in a way compared to other subnets, like for example, Avalanche, Supernets, and other subnets out there in the market. In a way, like the subnets of XDC network is not completely isolated from the mainnet. Um, I will be running you through in the following slides in more deep about subnets. So this is the consensus mechanism we had, which is called XDC 1.0, where we have two master nodes to confirm the block, but we recently upgraded to XDC 2. So this is one of the major upgrade on the network, which guarantees security and scalability. So how does that work is basically, so we have 108 master nodes, as I mentioned in the previous slides. So this consensus mechanism would need to have 2/3 of the master nodes to confirm a block. So it means out of 108, we need at least to have 70 plus master nodes to confirm the block. So we are doing that without compromising the TPS of the network. So you can wonder like how this is achievable, like 70 of the master nodes should confirm a block. So we have handled that in the code protocol layer in a way like this will be done in 2 seconds. So that's how we are guaranteeing the block time as 2 seconds per transaction. So this makes the network more secure. And we have a utility called forensic monitoring. So this is mainly to get rid of the malicious actors getting in the network, right? So how does this work? This is based on a hard stuff protocol mechanism. So if any this monitoring tool continuously monitors the transactions coming to the blockchain, and if it finds some of the malicious actors trying to attack the network, it catches them and it slashes the stake. For example, there is a node A which is trying to attack the network. The mechanism finds the node A and it slashes the complete like 10 million XTC tokens which has been staked. So this is one of the unique characteristics utility we have in the network. And about XTC subnets is basically subnets, as I mentioned, like it's a private blockchain solution for the enterprises. So this is the way subnet works. So we have the XTC mainnet and we have the XTC subnets. There can be n number of subnets. So subnets has its own layer of security and it also inherits the security from the mainnet. So it provides double layer of security. And each of the transactions on the subnet is locally stored on the subnet, the private blockchain, but there is a proof of the transactions being stored on the mainnet. So we are handling that with the help of relayers. So any transactions happening on the subnets, the data will be completely on the subnets only. It will not go to the public chain, but a proof of that will be always stored on the public blockchain. So this is unique to our subnets, which you don't find in the other subnet solutions. Usually other subnet solutions are completely isolated. They are not connected to the mainnet. And we have a simple UI which showcases you like how subnets and mainnets are like integrated and how the blocks are being transmitted from the subnets to the mainnet. So these are some of the dApps built on the network, and these are some of the partnerships we have, like Securitize, TradeTech, and we have some of the dApps built on the network. And XDC has been listed on almost most of the major exchanges out there. And we have like integrated with almost all the wallets. So as a network, we are trying to give the community as much as like utility and compatibility with all the tools out there, so that it will be easy for any kind of developers to build the app on the networks. So we are partnered with institutions, custodians like 5blocks, Propine, and Copper. These are like some of the building blocks of XDC network. This covers like what we have discussed in the previous slide, but a few pointers out there is like we are live since 2019, and yeah, we are one of the few chains which securitize. So we have the US Treasury bonds have been like tokenized on XDC network through securitize, and we are the one of the blockchain. I mean, we are the only blockchain who has been partnered with IFTA, International Trade Finance Association, and we have a product called XDC Trade Network, which focuses on trade finance. So we have partnered with Singapore government to completely digitize the trade documents and provide liquidity for the trades. And when I talk about institutions, so I would like to also mention about Dutch Telecom and SBA Bank based out of Japan. So they are hosting the validators on the network. And yeah, so what we are currently working on is like we are partnering with some of the major accelerators. We are conducting a lot of acceleration programs in partnership with like Trinity, Foundership, Plug and Play, Ragdo, Launchpool, and Bring. So through these programs, we are trying to bring in projects from these core focus areas like RWS, DeFi, Deepin, gamification, and staking. So we are running a lot of programs. So if you have any good idea which is MEP ready and you're looking for funding, so you can scan this code and apply for the program. So we have a couple of programs which is ongoing now. And yeah, you can scan this code to follow us on Twitter to get the latest updates. And we usually conduct a lot of developer workshops and a lot of workshops every month. So you can join our Telegram channel to get latest updates on that. So yeah, that's from my side. If you have any questions, I'm available here to connect. So now I would like to invite one of the Deepin projects built on the network, which is called Storex. So I would like to invite Mr. Murphy to walk you through.
Hello. Good afternoon. How are you guys doing? It has been a great GITEX week. Thank you all for coming in, making time and coming into this project. I would like to go through this project. It's Storex. Basically, we are a deepening storage project built on top of XDC. So before I start this project, how many of you feel that you really have access to very important data? Your data is very important and you would not like anybody else to access it. Or people are more, you're not comfortable anybody else accessing it without your information. Anybody like me? Great. So I'm talking to the right person. Okay, so this is Storex. We are a decentralized cloud storage project which is built on top of XDC. Let me go to the project. Okay, so as you're aware, there is a huge amount of growth. The volume of the data that has been grown worldwide is really phenomenal. In the past 3 or 4 years, the amount of data that is being generated is surpassed the amount of data that is generated for the past so many years. So this is the data. If you look at this graph, from 2021 to 2024, the amount of data that is grown is very high. So what happens is currently we are generating and consuming a lot of data. Most of the data is not important, but there's some part of the data which is very, very critical. Information like your keys, your codes, your photographs, which you really don't want to share with anybody else. Most of this data is currently lying unsecured with centralized servers like Google, Amazon, or Microsoft. So what happens is people are looking out for ways in which they can really store their data in a very, very secure way. Let us look at the cloud market. The cloud market has been growing phenomenally too. So if you look at the cloud storage market, it has been growing really phenomenal. This is a very good business to be in. You look at the amount of data that's the requirement of data is really, really very high. But if you look at this chart, this is actually the suppliers for cloud storage market. So if you look at the suppliers, there are only 3 or 4 major suppliers. If you look at the first 2 suppliers, AWS and Azure, totally they control more than 60%, 70% of the market. So what happens if you have so much of power in limited number of companies who can control your data? This creates a kind of monopoly, a duopoly in this case. So what happens is these guys have access to your data. They can do a lot of analysis on your data because your data is really stored as a single file format. It's not encrypted. It's not multiplied. So if you look at the kind of abuse that has been happening over the period of time, like a CrowdStrike, which happened, it brought down all the airports, hospitals together. What does this mean? That if you're hosted with all these companies and if there is any problem that is happening, it creates immense issues across all the world. So these 3 companies together can play havoc in a life if there is any downtime, anything happening of that. And any abuse or any type of happening data that is hacked in this thing, it can really give access to a lot of data because most of the service providers are using this source to store their data. So what happens? Let's see some of the risk which happens when you're storing your data with the centralized services. Okay, so all this data traditionally, because there are only few companies that are holding, they have the same technology, they have the same kind of platform that is being using, in spite of the fact that they are hosted at multiple locations. Now the big problem is all your data is located at single point. Any data that is kept in Azure, Google, Microsoft, when you're accessing is a single point of failure. That means if anything happened to that point of time, your data is gone, lost, unless you go in for data multiplication, which will actually raise your cost to 2 times. The second thing is lack of privacy. Now, if you're aware of the kind of terms and condition, actually nobody reads the terms and condition when you sign up for these services. It's like a 20-page document and nobody has time. So they have specifically mentioned that they can access your data, they can review your data in the terms of different things. In case they find it suspicious, in case they find they have to give it to any legal agencies. So that means that your data is totally open to all the service providers. The third is escalating cost. The cost for storing this data has been rising phenomenally. Many companies who are hosting the data with this service providers feel that in 2 years time, the cost of storing the data and accessing data has gone 200x. So it's like almost double and triple. And most of the companies, most of the small software companies, these guys are actually competing with the profit of this company. So it has become really, really very high. The surveillance abuse. The government is running a lot of surveillance on all this data. So if you have AWS, if you have Amazon, Google Cloud, government runs their surveillance program across all this data format. So your data is really not secured or private. They can access any amount of data that you have. The third one is lack of redundancy. So what happens is, in case if you're storing your data with the service providers, your data is not replicated by default. You will have to access you will have to go in for something like a multiple geolocation plan, which will again cost you 2 times of storing the data. The third one is data breach. Everybody is aware of the kind of data breach that is happening on the clouds. Every day you come to know of a new hack that is happening in AWS, Google Cloud, and your data is really exposed. And this has caused a real big problem for big companies, because most of the companies have to pay hefty fines because of this data breach. The next one is virus infection. If a hacker is, because all these platforms use standard way in which how the data is stored, if there is a virus attack happening, they can access everybody's data. They don't have to go into the new services. It's just a standard format. If I access a region in Asia Pacific, I can access the same technology. I can access any data which is located in London, which is located in Singapore, which is located in Australia. They have the same technology everywhere. So what do we do? So we need to have a technology which is so with the help of blockchain and Deepin, we are able to give you what is the thing that we should look forward. We should look forward for a storage solution which gives you absolute privacy and security. It has to be compatible with both Web 2 and Web 3 standards. So it should not be only compatible with Web 3, but also the Web 2 standards where most of the data is currently located. It has to be cost effective, reliable, and redundant. That means it has to be cost effective, at the same time it has to be reliable and redundant, which means at one single cost I should be able to provide storage at multiple locations. You should be able to retrieve and store your data at a very fast speed, because it's all the game of how fast you can deliver the services to your customer. You should have easy to use GUI and API access for programs. So if you are using it for programming base, you should have it in API access to retrieve the data. So that's when we decided, and then we came up with the solution, which is storage. Storage is actually built on top of XDC. We are a storage DApp built on top of the XDC layer. So what do we do? So we actually So actually what we do is we follow a guidelines whereby what we do is whenever you're uploading the file to our platform, what we do is we encrypt the file with user's unique passphrase. Then we send the encrypted file to the network where it is fragmented. Then we create multiple copies of that fragment, and then we distribute it all over the net. So what we're actually doing is we are ensuring that your data is really, really private. Nobody in the network can ever access your data due to any reason. And when we are replicating the data, we ensure that whenever the storage node is storing your data, if some of the nodes are not available, you can still access your data. So this provides you a high level of privacy, security, as well as redundancy in the same cost. So these are the some of the benefits which you can have when you're using storage. The first one is enhanced security. Because of the way in how we are processing your data, it ensures that it's totally secure. Nobody in the platform, including we as Storex, can ever access your data or snoop into your data. The second one is privacy. Because the user locks the file at user's laptop or devices itself, nobody can ever access the data. It's totally private. The third one is it's resilient, means we're keeping the same copy at multiple locations. So at any given point of time, if any of the storage network is not available, the data can still be accessed from an alternative network. We're using encryption method, as I told you. The first step itself, we encrypt your data in the user's laptop itself or a user's desktop. So what is ensured is your data is really very private and nobody has an access to your private keys. If you forget your private keys, you will lose the access to the data. It's as simple as that. The private key can never be reset or cannot be retrieved from the system. And it is totally decentralized. So currently we are holding around 4,000 nodes which are spread worldwide. And these are the nodes which operate and ensure that the data is really spread across all over the world. So we have around 4,000 networks which are spread across Asia, Africa, Europe, Australia, US, which ensures 100% reliability and decentralization. We are a 100% open source project, which means we follow the principles of XDC, which means you can have the access to the entire code which is put up at GitHub. We are very cost effective. If you compare our costing to AWS, we are really very cost effective, and we are almost very, very generous in terms of egress. So that means if you're storing with us, you don't have to pay a very huge amount of egress fee. If those who are aware of the way in which the cloud data ensures, the costing is always 1x and the egress is always 3x. So people end up paying 4x of the cost when they're storing the data with any cloud providers. We're very fast because we are getting data for multiple locations. Instead of getting data from single source, we get it from the multiple nodes which are located everywhere. Plus, we are environmentally friendly because we are built on top of XDC. This is a user-based interface that we have. We have a very easy to use interface. It is like any other file storage system. You can just access it. You can save it. This is how you can access the data. Whenever you're registering, you're given step-by-step guidance how to do the entire process. So it's very easy to use GUI. You don't have to worry to be very complicated using Web3 technology or a decentralized technology. Currently, we have integrations with so many service providers. It's like, and we keep coming out with integrations every week. We have every week or every 2 weeks, we come up with one new integration. So currently, we're integrated with at least 13 tools. These are some of the top tools which people are using to store the data. This is a very interesting use case which we have currently. So we have there's a company called as Swedish Innova, which is based out of Canada. It's an IoT-based company. What it does, it works with a lot of oil and gas companies which are based out onshore. They send a lot of data. They give them IoT devices, and their IoT devices are sending a lot of data. So they work with us, and we have designed a system for them where they don't use any centralized system. They're totally based on storage. So their entire devices are interacting with us, and we are sending and receiving the data which is there. So what happens is they're able to save a lot of cost. They're at least able to save 60% of the storage cost compared to any other centralized storage providers. And they have devices such as temperatures, drones, watches, and all. They keep health check and all. So we have tied up with them for the past 6 months, and they have around 2,000 customers who are using our platform to send and receive data. So we have that kind of tie with them, and they're pretty happy with the kind of systems that we have generated. This is some of the ecosystem numbers that we have. Currently, we have 117,000 users who are using our platform. We have around 3,500 nodes which are active currently. We have 5 petabytes of storage which is deployed. And these are our partners. We have partners with Mobi, IFTA, XDCC, Gamma, and these are the exchanges that we have been working with. So We have been working for the past 3 years, and we're pretty stable. We launched our mainnet recently, and it's going on pretty good. These are some of the press releases that we had in the past. They have talked about the storage system, and we keep getting listed in various publications. This is the latest one which we had. So they have published us as a permanent storage drive compared to all the other things. So this is one of the achievements. Yeah, this is it. So you can be a part, you can join us in the mission to provide a decentralized storage. You can either use Storex for storing your data. You can be a node operator and start earning rewards. You can also contribute and get bounty, and you can join our ecosystem. Okay. Thank you. If there's any questions, I'll be around, so please be free to ask the questions.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Karthik, and I am from Team Plugin. I'm working as a blockchain specialist and project manager for Plugin. So what Plugin does, Plugin provides decentralized Oracle service to XDC network. So Plugin is XDC's Oracle of choice. So today my presentation will be of two parts. First, I'll tell you what is Oracle and what Plugin does. I'll show you what are the apps that we are building or what are the services that we provide. And then I'll also touch upon the deepin, right? So we have seen an interesting deepin Storex now, plugin and the deepin, both together. How can we form use cases? Like I have some of the use cases that are very interesting and will give you an idea of how deepin can take the technology to the next level. So that's the idea. So let me go to what is plugin. And so before we talk about plugin, we need to understand Oracle, right? So blockchain is a Web3 technology, and there are a lot of existing applications that are out in Web2, right? And the data comes from Web2 and we need to pass on those data to Web3 to do some calculations or make your DApp work. And this data needs to be transferred from Web2 to Web3 through a bridge. And this bridge is called as Oracle, right? So while we talk about blockchain technology, blockchain is a DLT, like a decentralized ledger technology. And then when we talk about the bridge, if the bridge is a centralized bridge, then it makes the complete objective defeat, right? So we need to have the bridge also decentralized. While the data from the external source are fetched from a single point, then it poses the risk of single point of failure. So decentralized Oracle, what it does is it creates a bridge which provides data from multiple sources and then from multiple nodes. So the bridge is also a decentralized bridge or a decentralized Oracle. So that is decentralized Oracle. For example, let's say that we are building a DApp in XDC, and then the DApp is looking for some data from the external sources, which is not in blockchain world, right? So then we need some bridge to collect the data from there and pass it to the XDC network so the calculation can happen and you get the result. So plugin does that. So how plugin, plugin is a very cost-effective Oracle. When I think we started to work as provide the decentralized Oracle service, I think the vision of the founders XDC and plugin are very clear that we need to provide a very cost-effective Oracle service. At the same time, the Oracle has to be very secure and scalable. So plugin has done many upgrades, like right from the day that we launched, we kept innovating and ensured that the Oracle service that provide is like top-notch, and we have a robust architecture. And then we have node operators spread across the world. Like as I'm speaking now, we have 1,000+ node operators sitting across the world, providing source or feeds the data to us, right? So the data is coming from multiple nodes that makes secure plugin more secure and scalable. And architecture, we recently launched plugin 2.0, which has an architecture called Blip. So this architecture makes plugin more robust, right? Right from the security and from the performance perspective, plugin has been taken to the next level, and we provide all these benefits. Like so, we provide censorship resistance, like even if there is a single node failure, the system will not be affected. So we'll have nodes being backed, and the malicious nodes will be automatically detected, and emitted out of the system. And the integration of plugin decentralized Oracle is the key part, right? For example, let's say that you are building a tap, right? So your core idea will be is to make or see how you can take your tap and make it more effective. And then you need a service like a decentralized Oracle. And so what we did is we have taken all the heavy lifting out. So if you want to integrate Oracle, you just have to do a couple of clicks and add 2 lines or 3 lines into your code, and then you will get the data into the system. So you don't have to worry about the integration of decentralized Oracle into your tab. Your life is easy, but we have done it more secure. So like within few lines of code, you'll be able to easily integrate decentralized Oracle into your tabs. The tabs can be DeFi, the tabs can be supply chain, trade finance, ESG. So we have multiple price feeds and data feeds that will help you depending on the sector you're working on the tab. So this circle, we call it as plugin technology wheel. This will give you an idea of what plugin does, right? Currently doing or planning to do. So we started with this. Like I would start to talk about this part. That's our community. So our core strength is the ecosystem partner and the community that we have. So we have, as I said, like we have node operators sitting across the world. They are sending us the data, right? So they are our pillar of strength. And then with that node operators, we started providing you feeds. What is feeds? Like I told you that I can get the data from external world and send it to you. So we have categorized the data. So we call it as feeds. We have categorized these feeds into multiple categories. If you are looking for price of a cryptocurrency, or if you are looking for price of a stable coin, you are looking for price of a commodity, for example, gold, which keeps fluctuating. Like you have rate today and then different rate tomorrow. And then you are building a dApp which takes the rate of the gold and then does some calculation and provide rewards, right? So then plugin can get you the commodity price, like the gold price, into your dApp securely, so you can do the calculation and do that. And we are also getting ESG scores, like if you have an ESG provider who is in Web2, and then you are building on tabs related to sustainability for which you need ESG score, then ESG score is another fee that we can provide. We are also providing proof of resource. So with the community supports, with the node operators, we provide all these type of feeds to you. But then primarily our objective or our core is to provide Oracle service, but we didn't stop there, right? So we had a team of blockchain experts, and then we wanted to leverage their expertise. Then we started developing some tabs, right? We study what is happening in the blockchain world, what is need of the hour. Then we started developing tabs for XDC network. And the dApps that we build are spread across this swing, right? You can see the dApps being built on ESG. We have a dApp that's being built on real-world assets tokenization, which is taking talk of the world now. And then we also have dApps being built on healthcare, so which provide end-to-end hospital management. And then we have something called VRF, verifiable random function, right? So that is very essential for gaming. If you are working on gaming, which looks for some random number generation, which is very secure and at the same time trustless. So then VRF is something that you need for your gaming, and plugins VRF helps you to build games, right? So we are also in that entertainment sector. For gaming, we provide VRF. And then we are, as I said, like we build health, and we are also have a couple of apps on the insurance, like for agriculture, we have crop loss, which is called as Croppy, and then we also have insurance for flight delays. So these are some of the dApps that we have built. And we also provide digital transformation service. So for example, if you are looking for Web2 to Web3 transformation, you want to get into, like you want to build your dApp in XDC network, then yes, we can also provide that service. We help you to transform your existing Web2 application to Web3, or if you want to build a Web3 application, of course, we have the expertise to do that. So this are currently the service that we are doing. Of course, we have a strong roadmap that will tell you what plugin has in future. So we are currently working on synthetic asset protocol also, like where you'll be able to trade on synthetic assets. So that's another interesting project that we are working on. So I talked a lot about feeds. So just some numbers on the feeds. As I'm speaking now, we have 80 feeds under different categories. Like if you're looking for cryptocurrency, commodities, index pairs, proof of resource, we have feeds in different categories, active 80 feeds. We have feeds on testnet and mainnet, and I talked about VRF. we are a very important if you are in gaming app developer in Web3, right? So we provide VRF and then proof of reserve. So that's a picture of our data feeds, plugin data feeds. So now that I gave you an idea about what is plugin and what are some of the use cases that plugin does, right? So I gave you what does Oracle do, what is decentralized Oracle, and then how the data is being transferred from the external source to blockchain world through different node operators sitting across. Now I just want to touch upon some of the use cases that plugin as a deepin and Storex, right? Storex also provide decentralized Storex. So these deepin services, how can they complement each other and bring use cases? Murphy touched on a real use case, right? IoT. So like we have sensors, IoT sensors sending data continuously to blockchain world. So for example, there is, if you have a use case where you are using IoT sensor to capture the carbon being emitted or carbon being offset from the environment, and this data needs to be transmitted to blockchain world to calculate, let's say, carbon credits. You're working on a carbon credit blockchain project, and then for the carbon credit, you need to know what is the amount of carbon being offset. So the carbon sensor, or like if you want to know about CO2 or air pollutants in the particular place, all these are provided by sensors sitting. So this IoT sensors keep sending the data, and I take the data, do some calculation, and then provide you carbon credits, rewards, and blockchain. So we have a secure storage, like Murphy mentioned, decentralized storage. But then the data that is coming from this sensors to the decentralized storage will also, or this also needs to be secure, correct? So that's where Oracle comes in the picture. So Oracle collects this data from the sensors and securely transmit to decentralized storage, where we can do the storage and of course do the calculation and then securely transmit to the blockchain world. So here you can see how these technologies complement each other, right? Like two things that we need when we are talking about IoT sensors. IoT sensors sense real-time data, and the data is huge, right? Every second I get data from the weather. Like every second I get data about carbon being offset. And this real-time data needs to be securely transmitted in real time, one. And this data has to be transmitted to blockchain and do some calculation there. So what are two things? One is the storage, of course, and second thing is cost. So I need a cost-effective Oracle and a cost-effective blockchain. So that's how XDC plugin Storex complement each other and provides a cost-effective yet the best solution to the end user who are building tabs. So that's one of the use cases where IoT sensors sense the data, plugin acts as a carrier, takes the data to the decentralized storage, does the calculation, keep the data safe, and then push the needed data to the blockchain. Second, I talked about like weather data, right? So we have a project called Croppy, which talks about crop loss insurance. And for example, if there is a natural calamity and the crops, their farmers have faced some loss because of the natural calamity, right? So what happens traditionally in insurance? So the farmer files the claim, and then the officer goes and check whether there is a natural calamity there. What is the amount of loss that the farmers have faced, and what is the compensation that we get given? So all this takes time. By the time the farmer is like, oh, is either has lost his hope on the insurance or has already recovered from the loss, right? So we wanted to automate it, like instant gratification. So we want to compensate the farmer instantly. So what we have done is like we have weather sensors sitting on top of the like crops or the farm, right? So this sensors keep sending the data to the blockchain world. If there is a natural calamity, the sensors would have already captured it, sent the data to blockchain. There is no need for me to go and personally verify whether there is a calamity, whether there is a damage to the crops. So the data is already transmitted. So that we call it as WFN, weather forecast nodes, right? So plugin has WFN nodes spread across the different areas of the world where it keeps sending these weather forecast nodes. So this data right now, if we put this in a centralized server, right? So then the ultimate purpose is defeated. Like so, as Murphy said, there is high risk of, like we saw the vulnerabilities of a centralized storage, right? So that's where we will bring in decentralized storage, and the data from plugins, weather forecast node will be passed on to storage, stored there safely, and then do that. So this is the second use case where we can use these deep-in projects for insurance and environmental data calculation. I'll move on to the next use case, which is my personal favorite because I am involved in RWA and I do a lot of R&D onto that. So with RWA, right, we are converting any physical asset into token, like digital form. And how plugin can do or help in RWA? So that's a very interesting question. Let's say that you have a property and then you want to fractionalize the property and then give it into shares. And I purchase a share of one of the property which is tokenized. This point of time, I want to ensure that I am buying the property and I want to know who is the real user of it. Whether the property ownership is transferred to the right person who is eligible to fractionalize, right? So the proof of ownership, this data, the ownership data is not in the blockchain. Let's say it is in the web 2 world. It's in a registration office which is not in blockchain. So the proof of ownership will be collected from decentralized Oracle, will be passed on to the blockchain. So that's where decentralized Oracle comes into place. And of course, yes, we can use Storex here. For example, I collect monthly rent data, right? So every month I get data, like how much rent is being collected. I have, let's say, thousands of properties. And the rent data is coming from multiple houses, right? And then each month I get so many data. And all this data I need for long time and very secure, because if there is an audit and if the investors are asking, show me how much rent you have received and why I am getting this much of profit, I need to tell them that yes, this is the data and this data is not tampered, this data is immutable. It is passed from the external world to the blockchain through decentralized Oracle. It is stored in a decentralized servers. So no way the data is hacked or manipulated. So this is the proof that we have. So it's like instant, right? So people gain more trust when we have such a secure system transmitting data. And this proof of coverage, this is similar in terms to weather forecast node. So there is an interesting project that's happening in UAE where the Wi-Fi, let's say you have a Wi-Fi and then your Wi-Fi can be provided as a VPN service. You have unused internet bandwidth, and this internet bandwidth you can say that I want to share with people. And then if there are 100 people who are having unused bandwidth, they can share and then get rewards out of it. But then if I am the application builder, I want to know how many people have shared their Wi-Fi bandwidth, and I have to reward them accordingly. So this I can get from the external world through Oracle, and the data I can of course use decentralized storage. And yes, so lastly talking about AI, and so why AI? Because AI requires huge data model, right? It requires huge data to be stored, and most important thing is the algorithm that is processing the AI, right? So the algorithm should be safe enough and safely secured. First, the data to be transferred from the external source to the AI, like where the algorithm is run, and the algorithm that's being run, it has to be safely stored. So all the algorithms that we use for AI can be safely secured in decentralized storage, and the data that AI requires, right? So that can be passed from the external world to the AI engine through decentralized Oracle. So these are some of the use cases, most happening use cases, be it AI, be it RWA. It is like evident and 100% that both decentralized Oracle services and like plugin and decentralized storage, Storex, and the cost-effective and the powerful XDC network. I think this is the best platform that you can get if you're working on any deepen project, right? So you get all the support that you need. Just bring up the idea and then you'll have everything that you need to start. Like I would love, so I talked about the RWA and the project that we are building. So the project is called Liquid Edge. So it's an RWA project that we are currently working on. Maybe if you're interested, you can take a look at equitedge.com. It has all the details about it. Yes, so that's plugin for you, right? So I just explained what is plugin, what is Oracle, what are some of the use cases that we built, and how plugin as a deepen with Storex on XDC network can do a lot of wonders in blockchain technology. So there are many more use cases. If you'd like to know more, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to discuss with you. Thank you. Just to follow us on this channels. So yeah, we're happy to connect. Thank you.
How do you guys do the tokenization of real estate like in city and Dubai? There's a way of regulations out there. How you can use these guys? It's a digital asset or
Yeah, so there we use the concept of security tokens. So real world asset tokenization can be done only when you have a standard that's security token standard being followed, right? So the authorities, for example, every part of the world has a different set of rules or different, like in UAE, you have a radar, right? So, and they have a set of regulations to issue security tokens. And then of course, US have a different set of standards. It depends on the area where we are going to launch the project, the RWA project. So we have to approach the regional land authority. And so the key thing is the security token for RWA. I know like there are projects who are playing with ERC20, like which is like utility token, but we are working on security token, which is the real standard that can hold a digital asset behind it. Like it has a credential certificate that it can hold to say that yes, you have a stake in this property. And coming to the authorities, yes, it depends on the region of launch. So we have to work with the respective, because they have set of standards. For example, US has, Singapore has a different set of standards. So like yeah, we have to work with the different authorities.
Why don't we get the IP instead of localization? All of the localization, we feed it the IP.
You're from the XDC team, right? So my friend Rahul suggested I should meet Ritesh and Atul. He was here, but he's a co-founder. So what you do about it? So my
That's not the way it works, the way IP hub.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means they are working on it already.
Mhm.
System of the-
Hello, DVC also. Please stand to drive the communication on a feature in use. Not
Mm.
shopping, but the person is needed for what's this?
More secure.
Yeah, it sounds an interesting idea. Yeah, why not? I think we can explore it together and see how it works together. Yeah. Yes, nice. Let's connect. Yeah. Sounds interesting. Any other questions? Yes, yeah.
How do we manage the digital identities of people on the network who are buying the private properties?
So, like it's through the wallet, right? So we actually right now use the wallet address for digital identity. Of course, everyone who are going to use our RWA platform, they need to first complete the KYC. Without the KYC, you cannot invest. First, we collect the KYC. And if you pass the KYC, then you are identified in the system through your wallet address. But then, of course, we are KYC platform.
What are the terms of getting fair for qualifying KYC?
Again, it depends on the region. Okay. So in UAE, there are certain terms that I can collect and I cannot collect.
That's not about India. What are the things that could
Yeah.
be possible that the KYC can fail?
Of course, if you have no other, so our project is not in India yet. So we are currently exploring Dubai market and then the US market. Of course, we are exploring. But then being an Indian, I know like the KYC is through Aadhaar. So if you have a valid Aadhaar, yes, that's very good for KYC. And if you don't have, then we have to go for next residential proof like your voter ID and stuff like that. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.